Hello. Welcome to the New Jersey State Golf Association's panel discussion on sustaining the golf boom of 2020. I think we're all happy to have 2020 in the rearview mirror. Many of us had to deal with illness and uncertainty, and even the tragedy of loss. We were isolated with few opportunities for group activity. But through the initial phase, we eventually got back to golf. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about golf. It was a challenging year for the golf industry, but ultimately a successful one. Golf Data Tech reported that recreational golf was up 13.9% in 2020. Comparatively, golf usually varies between 2 and 3% based on weather. So 13.9% is a big jump. It equates to 50 million more rounds played across the country. The year-over-year increase in rounds was largely a bump. Was the largest bump in 20-plus year history that Golf Data Tech has been compiling the industry numbers. And that's even with roughly 20 million rounds not being played in the months of March, April, and May. So golf was a silver lining to a lot of people, and we're here to talk about keeping that momentum going. I want to introduce our panelists. We have Jerris, Ph.D. He's a Senior Managing Director of Public Services for the United States Golf Association. Chris Parker is the General Manager of the Rock Spring Golf Course. Julie Peluso is the Director of Member Relations at the Essex Country Club. And Dave Wasenda is President of Applied Golf. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Good to be with you.
Let's start with what happened last year. What were the main factors that contributed to the uptick in golf? Rand, why don't you start?
Sure. I think for so many of us, COVID brought significant changes to the way we spend our time, the available time that we have. We know one of the great pressures in the game, quite simply, is the availability of time. And with changes in our work habits, with the inability to engage in other activities in a lot of ways that we often do, a lot of time opened up for people. And I think that really, gave people room in their calendars and in their lives to play golf. I think for some of us, those changes in behaviors meant changes in spending patterns too. And the other great pressure we know exists in terms of golf participation is the cost to play the game. And for some people, disposable income, available income sort of opened up. So people had time and they had money and they were drawn to this game. For those of us who work in golf, we understand what there is to love about golf, right? People play because they love to be outdoors. They love the connection it provides to family and friends. And as you said, we felt isolated, and golf provided a chance for us to be connected. We had these wonderful opportunities. When you look at what's great about the game, it was the perfect foil for the isolation of COVID. And again, combine that with availability of time and money, and those were really good things for the game, and we saw a real surge in participation.
Yep. Anybody have anything else to add there?
Yeah, I think Rand hit it kind of right on the nose. Everybody's life changed with COVID. We were forced to stay home. There were curfews implemented in some areas. We basically became prisoners of ourselves. So with outdoor activities being one of the few things that were deemed safe to do, people ventured out into the golf courses. We were able to capture some significant data from surveys we sent out, and 52% of the golfers that we surveyed came back and said that they either were previous golfers that came back to it, or they were avid golfers that increased their rounds and their ability to play because, like Rand said, the disposable income had changed and their spending patterns had changed. So, that's kind of where we went from in 2020, and I think it's just been great for golf as a whole.
Rand, was it possible to anticipate something like this? Was there anyone out there saying we better get ready once golf comes back?
Not in the early months, not in the early weeks, in the early months. We were going through really an unprecedented moment in golf's history, but in sort of the nation's history, where all of our industries and activities were just shutting down. And I think in those early weeks and early months, no one was thinking past the critical need to get golf courses reopened. And I think it's really important that everybody understands what's happened. We talk about wanting collaboration across our industry. We all talk about ways we can work better with one another. And what we saw in March and April, what we lived was absolutely unprecedented in terms of an industry coming together, proactively reaching out. A lot of times it was, these decisions were being made at the state level, the governor's offices, advocacy to the states, to the governors, to reopen golf courses, reminding them why the game is inherently safe as an outdoor sport, and working on this cross-industry effort that we called Back to Golf, that actually reached right into Fauci's office. There were key leaders in the golf industry that actually were on the phone with Dr. Fauci before he became famous to all of us, so well known, working with Fauci on this set of standards and guidelines that we could safely reopen golf courses. So, Kevin, to your question, no, we weren't anticipating it, but we were working darn hard to make it happen. And I think that's just such a really good story about what golf was able to accomplish, working together and putting the best story forward to key decision makers and key government officials that helped us get golf courses back open around the country.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people did a lot of good work in that short period of time. Chris, you were at Rock Spring when the township opened it up to the public, for public play anyway, in 2019. So your normal was kind of short-lived at Rock Spring, and before closure and the surge eventually. What was it like last summer at the golf course?
Kevin, we really haven't experienced a normal year here since we took over. I mean, we took over a club that was closed for 6 months and had 3 weeks to get it open and hire staff. And, initially we thought we would do anywhere from 18 to 19,000 rounds of golf that year on an abbreviated year. And we did 22,000. So it's, make preparations for how you can continue to piggyback off of that. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we were shut down for 41 days and everybody's lives changed, like much of you guys. But, even with that, we were always constantly adapting to try to figure out how we can provide a safe and enjoyable experience for our guests. We were able to, like most people, we exceeded our rounds expectations and, we did over 35,000 rounds of golf here. So golf course isn't built for that. So that presents some challenges as well. So just constantly adapting to do that. I can remember when we reopened on May 5th, it was within 10 days, within 30 minutes, we had sold out the first 10 days, with all the different restrictions, twosome, 16-minute intervals. Julie understands everything I'm talking about right now because she's going through it with her members. But, at that moment, we knew it was going to be a special year. And, I was just very proud of the team with the experience that we were able to provide and how we were able to keep people safe in a year that really wasn't normal for anyone.
Yeah, for sure. Good work there. Julie, on the private side, the National Golf Foundation said that private clubs led the 2020 increase in rounds played with a 19.9% spike. I'm sure you saw that at Essex Fells. So, how was it, being around, the private club? And also, was there a big increase in membership inquiries?
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I think with any business, there was caution and concern for the future, but it was amazing to see the club property just open up as a recreational space and for that to then transition into people's interest in being out on the golf course and enjoying the walking aspect. And once golf courses opened, that was what kind of catapulted, further interest. People had spent time out on the golf course just recreationally. They wanted to play, they wanted to walk. They were happy to not take a cart, whether for medical reasons or just social distancing. And all that interest was beautiful. And the initial concern for, future of country clubs quickly turned into, confidence that this would be a place that would thrive and survive. And whether it's country clubs or golf, we've been a beneficiary of COVID. It's been an amazing story. The uptick in interest was, as you might imagine, just an incredible challenge to keep up with people interested in not just the lifestyle, but having access to golf. And Essex Fells Country Club and many clubs in the metropolitan area are just thriving because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, with regard to the round and that beginning of play, I had played my first round of golf with a close friend up at Forest Hill, and it was, as Chris was saying, it was the 16-minute intervals and twosomes, and we had a 7:30 tee time, and I went out with him and played, and we were done at about 8:45, and actually it was about 9 o'clock, and we was, what do we do now? Usually we would sit and have a beer after playing. So golf was unique at that time, and when we could play some fast rounds of golf, it's a shame that we have to get away from that, but we have to open up the golf courses for all the people. Dave, when it all changed, we brought a lot of new people to the game. There were people coming back to the game. There was an increase by most of the golfers had increased play. How do you think the surge affected the core golfer, your best customers?
I don't think it affected the customers too much at all. I think certainly, we manage anything from very simple public golf courses to higher end private clubs. So, the profile of golfer obviously changes, but for the membership side of things and the private club side, I think members were happy to see more people join their club and evolve a more social, active environment than there was before COVID. Because let's face it, a lot of clubs were struggling before COVID, still are, but maybe have seen some relief from the influx of new members. And I see in our private side is actually increased happiness and increased camaraderie with the people that are there. Because they're excited. There's fresh blood there. There's more competition on the golf side. There's more people, and especially as restaurants start opening more to socialize with after golf or before golf. So I think that's a positive. On the public side, there's some tight moments. I'm sure Chris, with his 35,000 rounds, had some tough moments on his golf course. Where there's just so many people at once. But I think it's all in the experience that as operators we can provide. I'm a big believer in this whole process is that, hey, let's not take this for granted. This is a gift. A lot of businesses are hurt right now and are, damaged beyond repair. And we've been given this gift of being in a place where outdoor activities have flourished. And don't take this for granted one day. Continue to give that customer service that you have, make the reinvestment in the property with maybe some extra funds that we've given to improve, and just to make sure that we're doing everything possible to retain these customers once things go back to somewhat normal, whenever that is. Because you've heard some stories about price gouging and people charging a lot of money for things. And, I think that's as a practice, a lot of people aren't doing, but there's some people that are trying to take advantage. And I would just caution everybody to appreciate what we have right now.
Yeah, it's a great segue into my next question with regard to, we don't want to detract from the golfer experience for the sake of numbers. So I'd like to ask each of you what your organizations in particular are doing to build on the momentum. Dave, your thoughts right there about increasing your customer service and making sure that there's a continuity to your customer service, regardless of the number of golfers that are out there, is an important factor. Chris, what are you talking to about with Kemper Sports and with your staff?
Yeah, so for us here at Rock Spring, continuing to invest in the club is a focus for us. We listen to what our guests say and have plans to complete a bunch of drainage projects this year, as well as some bunker projects throughout the season. We're also opening up a new restaurant in the coming weeks to help create kind of a home away from home atmosphere for all who visit. We want it to be a community hub. So we have several residents in the area that may not play golf, but they may want to come and dine and enjoy, themselves on the patio or even go for a walk. So, in the new world that we are in, Zoom calls and WebEx meetings, our guest schedules are more flexible. So the more I can make it feel like home, the better it is for our guests, the township, and Kemper Sports. We always aim to deliver the best possible guest experience and make everyone feel welcome each time they come.
Julie, how about you up at Essex Fells?
Thank you. So we're proudly hosting a big championship this year, our 125th anniversary. So the state amateurs coming here. We're obviously excited for that. This tee times are new to our club. They've never happened here, and so we've actually opted to maintain tee times. It's obviously helping us keep a socially distant atmosphere, but by design, it's helping spread out some golf. It takes a little bit of relief off of the demand to play on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Those times certainly fill up fast. But most people at the club have the luxury of being able to make sort of a new schedule and a new weekly agenda. They can maybe play golf on a Tuesday morning at maybe a seemingly or previously less desirable tee time. And so we're able to push people to off times and spread out some of that play. And I think tee times have helped us do that. Certainly just adding amenities with the growth and the volume of people here, just the volume of people, wanting to be at the club for lunches and dinners. We're going to add some more outdoor space. It's prompted a lot of great change for us.
And Dave, I'm going to come back to you before I go to Rand. You want to talk about some of your thoughts and what you're talking to your courses about?
Yeah, I think we're really focused on retention at this point, because the golfers, as Rand had said before, and Chris is saying in his spike, is that, particularly on the public side of things, we have golfers that have come out of retirement, for lack of better words, maybe played it in their early days and now for one reason or another, raising a family, sports, whatever, had to retire, maybe not by choice, but by necessity. But how do we, if they're going to play twice a week during the pandemic, how do we get them to play instead of 0 times a year, 2 or 3 times a month? How can we get them to continue the connection with golf? As we all know, golf's a very addicting sport. It's very competitive if you have that in you. So we want to make sure that people have a great experience. We're in touch with them and trying everything we could do to say, hey, we know you're not going to be here twice a week forever, but if you could make us your home for that twice a month when you're taking your kids to soccer and lacrosse starts again and your family vacations start to happen, we really would like your business and appreciate your business. On the private side, obviously it's much different, is that, a membership's a commitment for a year usually. So it's really how to really show value and show that, second college experience all over again, in your later years when you join a club, and make you appreciate that, hey, socialization and bonding, it's right. It could happen at a club. Just because there's golf here doesn't mean that's all you do at a club. There's a lot of other things that go with it, socializing, pool, tennis, paddleball was a big one at one of our clubs this year. And how do we just continue to draw these people together and almost make it impossible for them to leave because they've found a whole new segment of life with their new friends at the clubs. And really, again, not really focus on the dollars and cents, but focus on the experience. And then the dollars and cents will come if we can keep that experience going.
Yeah. Like Chris said, make it a home away from home, or that's just right. a second home at best. Rand, I'm going to kind of ask a new question here with regard to the national organizations. Life kind of got out of whack when we shut down, and people were desperate for things to do. And with golf shut down, my phone was ringing off the hook with people saying, "What are you doing to convince our governor to get golf back in New Jersey?" I know that the national organizations got together and did the Back to Golf outline of how we could return to golf in a safe manner. I'm just wondering if those guidelines, if you think that there are things in those guidelines around a safe environment that are permanent to our game now.
And I'm gonna point back to something that Julie's mentioned, and Kevin, even you mentioned, in sort of relaying your personal story. I think one of the most compelling things that we saw come out of the Back to Golf guidelines were the the suggestions on how to properly set starting intervals to create a proper socially distanced environment. And while that was done for health and safety reasons, it was a really important outcome of that, which is that the time it took to play the game decreased. At some of your, crazy busy public facilities, right? Places where there are 6 and 7 hour golf experiences, because two things happen. Number one, nobody tees off on time, right? You may have that 9 o'clock tee time, but that first tee backs up so long that you're really going off the first tee at 9:30 or 9:45, right? And then you get out there onto a packed golf course, and that impedes flow. And we saw in some of the busiest public golf courses around the country that people were actually now teeing off on time. Like their start of their round was actually predictable. They could manage their time better. And then when they got on the golf course, rounds were taking 60 minutes less, right? We've known this about pace of play. Managing a flow on a golf course is like managing a production line. And if you try to push too much product through, a narrow gap too quickly, or like traffic on a highway, right, everything backs up. When we spaced out tee time intervals, we saw huge improvements in flow on our golf courses, and people actually played faster. And when you go back to those like barriers to play at the highest level, right? But one of those, and I said this earlier, one of the biggest ones is the time it takes to play the game. And we just found a way to, for a lot of people, significantly reduce the time that they have to spend at the golf course. So golf fits more comfortably into their lives. Their schedules are more predictable. They know how long it's going to take to start and get around the golf course. And that's a huge improvement. And I think when we look at it from the USGA's perspective, there's one thing we hope sticks from all of this. It'll be that sort of more responsible management of tee sheets and starting intervals, because it takes one of the really big pressures off the game in terms of participation.
Rand, when I first joined the County of Bergen running those golf courses back in 1996, I had read something in the months prior to that was a USGA document that suggested that there should be a minimum of 10-minute tee times. And I suggested that in my first year, and I got laughed at. The county is running at 8 minutes, and I realized over the course of those a year or so without changing, there were some miserable times on the golf course at 8 minutes, and you could see where the bottlenecks were, and we had a reason. They eventually agreed, and we changed it to 10 minutes, and the experience for the golfers was so much better. So I can really appreciate that.
And you also open up tee times at the end of the day that, towards the end of the day on the tee sheet that weren't viable because people knew they couldn't finish. Well, now actually they know they can. And so, while you may lose, a tee time interval in some of those early hours of the day, you actually recover them at the end of the day, and it can be really positive.
Yeah. So we had that document that was put together by the associations, the Back to Golf document. I know, Dave, we did the same. You and I worked with the PGA section and the club managers and the superintendents to create our own document here in New Jersey. So the Allied associations came together to do that. Do you think there's a role for the statewide associations in keeping up the momentum that we gained here in 2020?
I think, Kevin, there's a multitude of roles that, as we've been talking about over the years when we first started that alliance together, obviously it showed its strength during a very trying time, and we were familiar with each other, and we band together during that time and getting the letters to the governor's office and spreading the word among the golf community in New Jersey. I think it played an essential role. I mean, we were really the focal point of the interaction with the government. And I really believe that, there's something else that's around the corner someday. It might not be COVID, but it's going to be something else. And continuing that momentum with the associations, because we noticed within our association of golf course owners, people appreciate, when things are just kind of rolling along and they don't use their association, they don't really see sometimes the value in it. And then once they see what, associations can bring to the table, I think people are more cognizant of all the associations in the state. And I believe that, there's work to be done. Maybe it's not, 8-minute tee times and 16-minute tee times like we were fighting early on, Kevin, but there's other work among the state to make golf stronger and more stable as we roll along. And I look forward to it because I thought it was the perfect, beta test for a long-term run with these associations together. Agreed.
Rand, how about on a national level?
And look, at the national level, I think one of the most important things that national organizations can do is to use their voice, their individual voices, but their collective voice. And that can be really large. There was a really important initiative that was launched on Monday at National Golf Day. Make golf your thing. And this is a new industry-wide campaign that's been kicked off to invite new and diverse audiences into the game and to encourage existing golfers to just sort of own the game and their identity within the game and to celebrate that. Yeah. All these national organizations and many of the leading global golf brands are actually contributing financially to support this new campaign that's been rolled out. You'll see PSAs, you'll see messaging in broadcast. We've all committed to use our sort of owned media assets, things like websites, social media platforms, digital media, to really bring this Make Golf Your Thing campaign forward. And look, it's two things. It's a campaign and it's a call to action. The first is the campaign is to celebrate golf. The call to action is to go out and play, and to invite someone to play, and then to share that experience. And we know how passionate golfers are about the game, and we want to use that collective voice to continue the momentum, to remind people just how enjoyable and fun the sport is, to remind people that it's affordable and it's accessible and it's welcoming to them. And so when we, as national organizations, we don't necessarily own the facility, right? We can't make those changes, but we can really importantly use our voice and our assets to make sure that we're properly lifting the game up, celebrating the game, and really working hard to continue that momentum. And that's where we've all made a commitment to be focused on that moving forward.
When I first heard about the campaign, Rand, I realized that it was a little different than some of the campaigns that the national associations have put forth, because it actually puts the onus all the way down to the golfer to do something for that individual to make a statement about making golf their thing, and obviously we could all share those stories, and we're excited to do that at the New Jersey State Golf Association.
Yeah, Kevin, and I agree with Rand, is that, as I know you and I have been talking about getting the allied associations together in a short period of time. But I mean, if we piggyback on the national initiatives and make it those state initiatives, there's a perfect example how the allied associations could really, again, double down on this gift I keep saying we're given of newly found golfers and the sport itself, is that if we just continue to push and not wait for another downturn, I think that really solidifies this being a long-term thing and not just a short-term blip in the big timeline of golf.
Yeah,
it's been striking to see at our club, I'm sure everywhere, the number of young professionals into the game, and wonderful to see that growth for golf is, people in their 20s and 30s, men and women. And, that's going to provide decades of golf interest in the future. And it's a very proud thing, not only for our club to have young people here, but to know that the game of golf is inheriting young professionals, people that, had an interest in sports and have fell into golf. They'll be part of it for a long time.
Yeah, and our deal is that we say kiddingly behind the scenes is that, well, when their Zoom meetings are finished and they have to go back to their office, how do we make sure that they stay? And that 2-hour commute each way doesn't eat them up and not have them forget about us. So the race is on. I know in a lot of organizations to get those people really really indoctrinated in the culture of each club that Julie runs, or Chris. That's the goal right now.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of get specific on that very topic. With people were flocking to the golf course. I read that now that Golf Digest had said that it wasn't that they were flocking to golf, that they were really escaping the other things in life, and the fact that golf was available was an easy target for them. But people are going to eventually have to go back to the office, like Dave said, and they're going to pick up the other sports that were kind of shut down for a while and start going back to Yankee games and all the other activities that people do and start traveling again. And I'm just wondering, I wanted to ask Chris and Julie and really Dave, what are the kind of things, the proactive measures the clubs and courses are taking to keep individuals involved? Julie, you want to start?
Thank you. The biggest thing that we're hoping for is that, even as people start to go back to an office, that volume of time they're still working from home, there may still be a big portion of that. And the club, whether it's a public or private space, can provide a space for people to still work from home, but be, outside of their home. That brings them closer to the golf course and, keeping a tie to the golf industry. So just providing a space for them to work from home or can forecast what will be happening here.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, so much like Julie said, just being welcoming and open and having that space where you can come and spend some time here and hopefully get a few holes in. It's okay if you play 6 or 7 holes, as long as you can get out and be at the club at some point. So we're really focusing on that, how we can diversify offerings to make people feel like they can come to the golf course even if it's just for an hour.
How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do in each facility is reinvest into the properties. Obviously, properties with a very heavy food and beverage component might not have flourished as much as clubs with a more streamlined food and beverage because of the shutdowns and people's just cautious on going indoors or not being able to go indoors last year. So. But for the profit that we're making at some of the golf courses is trying to do some new things. Make it more exciting. Put new amenities out there. A new patio. Refurbish rooms. Do some neat work to the golf courses. And show them that we're evolving as a club or evolving as a facility, and they're maintaining that excitement and momentum that they helped us with coming out and playing, and in return we're giving that back to them in different ways to socialize. Simulator rooms, with a lounge in it. We're planning on one club in the fall. We did a really expansive patio. Outdoor patio at another club that's there to stay, just not temporary for COVID. Did some course reconstruction, another course. So, just a lot of different things that, make it exciting and fresh and new.
Yeah, a lot of positive things there, Dave. The one thing that Julie and Chris both mentioned was kind of making it the space to work from the club at times. I remember it's not that long ago that cell phones weren't even allowed at most clubs, and I think clubs have made that a proactive difference, that they could now people can come and do a little work on the golf course because it's just become part of our lives. I want to just switch gears a little bit. I want to go to Rand and ask just speak about the tremendous opportunity that's here in golf. To have that big of an uptick in rounds is really would be amazing for any business or industry. But along with that, there's some certain responsibilities. I'm just wondering, can the industry take advantage of the spotlight that's on it right now because of the increase in rounds and play, and do some things that will be helpful to the industry, like doing a better job of diversity and inclusion?
Kevin, that diversity and inclusion topic is a really important one, and the answer to your question, like, can the industry? It has to do things. It's important to the long-term sustainability and health of the game, and some really important things happened over last summer. 3 of our sort of key industry leaders, Seth Waugh, who's the CEO of the PGA of America, Jay Monahan, who's of course commissioner of the PGA Tour, and Mike Wan, currently LPGA commissioner, but about to be the USGA's next CEO. We're excited about that. The three of them got together and really invited and challenged the industry to to identify some meaningful opportunities to build on the momentum in the diversity and inclusion space for golf. There were some working groups that came together, very specifically tasked with flagging and identifying the strongest opportunities within golf to build a more inclusive game. And I can share a few of those work groups with you, and you'll understand sort of the focus of the work. One was simply on skills development and education, creating a welcoming and encouraging atmosphere where we bring people into the game and teach them how to play the game, right? So making sure that those onboarding opportunities into golf are targeting diverse audiences and speaking to them in ways that are meaningful and welcoming to create the right environment in the game. We look at our own organizations, and we can look at just about any entity in golf and just look at talent acquisition. Who are our employees, and what do they look like? You invite people to your facility or your organization or your championship, but if all they say are people that don't look like them, do they feel welcome? Do they think it's a place where they belong? And we know that change has to start with our own employee bases. We have to change who we're bringing into our organization so that the face of the people running golf is more diverse and thus looks more welcoming. We're taking a hard look at all of our HR policies, fostering inclusive environments through equitable HR policies and practices. We look at the way we spend. Procurement, right? What are the supply chains that are needed to support golf? And can we be supporting women-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses more intentionally than we are today? Again, it's important for diversifying the face of the game. And then finally, looking critically at both youth and adult player development, looking at the really important programs that happen at the community level, understanding how they're engaging with their local communities and audiences, how they're being welcoming, what the products are there that they are offering, and making sure that we're offering truly accessible on-ramps into the game. So you take all those sort of collective work groups, and there's a really significant effort that in my 30 plus years at the USGA, I've not experienced the industry so intentionally focused on these issues of diversity and inclusion like we are today. And it's moved past the conversation and to the level of actual task forces that are now working actively in each of these areas to identify and implement change.
Yeah, excellent. Julie, in particular at the club, are there any activities that you're planning to attract more women to the game?
So I think it's mostly scheduling. A working female can't come to the typical 9 and 18-holer groups that tee off mid-morning or early morning during a weekday. So setting up some of that programming in the evenings and on the weekends is imperative, because that's times that have available to them. Those working from home now, we're starting to see an uptick, and them prioritizing the weekday morning groups because they're able to, have a flexibility in their schedule, make up the work at the end of the day, for example. So a little bit of balance there, but definitely programming in typical off-peak times.
I think the key is, we've all said it a couple of times here, the key is being welcoming and certainly accommodating those kind of changes that are happening at Essex Fells. And Chris has said a couple of times about being welcoming. And to just, Chris, to come back to you, could it be as easy as just being more welcoming to find that niche in your space to be more friendly and inclusive and simplify the process of getting to the golf course and making a tee time and having staff being available for questions and providing options for the experience, like you mentioned before, maybe come out and play 6 or 7 holes, and could it be that easy to just be that welcoming, as I say?
I mean, it's as simple as it sounds. It really is. Just being more welcoming is very important. The more comfortable your guests feel with you and your staff, the more time they'll spend at your club. So we're all in the service industry, providing exceptional experience for the customer. From a customer standpoint, is very important. We spend a lot of time on training staff just to be available to answer questions, educate our guests about all that we have going on at the club. Being helpful, genuine, and friendly will go a long way with creating your loyal, happy customers. Options are definitely important as well. We've created various new leagues and member events at various times throughout the week, as well as open our doors to social leagues and to expose new golfers to the facility. We're actually planning to do a 666 league soon, where it's, those who don't have time for a full round of golf, they can come out, play 6 holes in a fun format, and then have the option to go out on the patio for a social event afterwards. So, keeping the fun in it is what it's all about.
Julie, I happen to be lucky enough to grow up at a private club at Forest Hill. And I remember my parents going to dinner every Saturday night up at the club, and my dad putting on a jacket and tie. And on the occasional Sunday when my dad wanted to eat in the main dining room, we all had, my 4 brothers and I had to put on jackets and ties. And those things have kind of changed. Do you think there'll be a continuation of those changings? Do you think that some of those traditions will continue to go by the wayside in order to create a more acceptable environment? And I'm thinking in particular things like Michelle Wee West just came out with a hoodie that was all the rage there for a while.
Definitely, the casualization has driven usage, whether it's on the golf course or in the dining experience. It's a careful line. You don't want things to go too far, too casual. But it's important that we offer opportunity for people to come for dinner after soccer practice when they may be wearing a pair of jeans, but the hats off in the clubhouse and shirts tucked in and hats facing the right way out on the golf course. All that still matters, and we drive that home, but are proud that with a little bit of casualization and flexibility, inside the building, we're able to, drive some usage. It's funny, as for the hoodie, so much of golf apparel has gone, everything's so comfortable now, and you can find the exact products you're looking for. And to add a hoodie to a sweatshirt on the golf course, I don't know if I'd play in a hoodie, but I don't know that there's a whole lot wrong with it. But again, it walks a fine line. I don't want one in my way when I'm swinging a golf club, but it's a fashion statement. Some people love it, as long as it doesn't get too casual.
For sure. Dave, do you see it happening at the courses you guys manage and own? Is there a need for a shift in the culture of golf in order to be truly welcoming?
I think so. I mean, I look at the younger generations coming in. Even my generation. When you go out to eat, very very few times are you putting on a jacket or. For that matter, very much dressing up. You can go to the finest restaurants and, wear jeans and wear a nice shirt. And most people opt to do that in the younger side. So again, like Julie said, it's a fine line. You just don't want to have no rules and have it be a free for all. But I do think that, if you want to keep the people there and you want to, have them there long term, you really have to listen and think and observe on why they're not coming and why they would come. If they're passing by the club and there's no jeans allowed and they're driving right by and that could have been their stop, but they didn't stop because, I didn't have pants on today, I can't go to the club. I don't know if that's a big reason, unless you have 300 people on a waiting list to get in. I don't know if that's the best reason not to allow jeans, or if you're just afraid that the legacy members would be upset if jeans are allowed in the clubhouse at a certain point in time. Yeah. Don't let the good be the enemy of the better, I would say on that one, is that I think you really have to have your ear to the ground on that. And I'm not by any way saying there's jeans on the golf course and things like that, but to bring your families in, no golf that day. That's our goal. Our goal is to have people come in when they're not playing golf on a separate visit. That's what really, I think everybody's goal should be running a club with a thriving social environment, is that to say, hey, dad or mom, if they go play golf and they come home, what's the reason we should come back to the club for a second visit that day or another visit that week? And how do we make that as easy as possible for them, balancing, rules and regs? So that's just our thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah. I'd kind of like to ask each of you if there was something specific that you could share with operators around the state that your organizations are talking about to simplify the entry into golf or the process of playing golf. I think I'll start with Rand.
Kevin, thanks. It's an important question. I want to point to the research we're doing on golfer experience. We have a multi-year project underway to really look deeply at what are the factors that influence the quality of the experience we have on our golf course, how much fun we have, what are the things that make for a fun round, what are the things that detract. And one very specific thing we're focusing on right now is getting golfers on the right set of tees. And that's hard at some facilities. We did some research as part of our distance work, our Distance Insights project that we completed, that showed that only 8% of golf courses in this country, 8, have tees appropriate for golfers who drive the ball 150 yards.
Wow.
That's not a long driving distance. There's a lot of reasons. You could be a beginning golfer, you could be a senior golfer, any number of reasons. The sort of slower swing speed golfers at 150 yards off the tee, 8% of golf courses have an appropriate tee for you. And there's some great stories there. There's a golf course down in Florida where they built a set of tees forward enough, 3,500 yards for 18 holes. There were senior women golfers coming off the golf course saying, I had my first birdie in 25 years. 25 years playing the game without a birdie, right? And we all know how fun it is to mark that birdie on your scorecard. If that's your experience of playing the game, is hit a tee shot, hit 3 hybrids, and then finally reach the green to have a putt for double bogey, I'm not sure the game is really appealing. We have to find ways to get golfers onto the right set of tees so that they're experiencing the game the way it's supposed to be played, and they're experiencing the fun that comes from playing the game. So you're going to see a real push. We're doing more research on forward and appropriate tees right now, and you're going to see a lot more messaging and education happening from the USGA, just simply about getting the right tees built on the golf course and getting the golfers to choose the right set of tees to play from so that they're having a really good experience. They're going to have fun. They're going to come back.
Yeah, so well said. Chris, how about you?
For us, just partnering with community organizations and local golf groups, we feel like that's going to be important to bring new golfers into the club. We've been fortunate enough. We have some great relationships with various women's and youth organizations, and we're offering new to golf clinics. They're taught in a welcoming setting where we put an emphasis on having fun on the golf course. And to kind of piggyback off of what Rand said is, part of that is teaching them the right sets of tees to play at, letting them know that it's okay to, go up to the 150-yard marker and start your hole from there so that you can have your first birdie ever. Adapting to what the new golfer looks like and wants as operators is something that we always have to do. We just have to continue to get better at that.
Hey, Julie, how about you?
Thank you. So a couple of things, when somebody's only wanting to play 4 holes, we have to make sure that 4th hole brings them back to the clubhouse. So sometimes it's something as simple as offering a different routing to them and making the rest of the golfers aware of that routing so that their 4th hole brings them home and not, at a further, the farthest distance from the clubhouse. So routing, keeping the range open a little later, just to accommodate more people. The more we can spread this volume of people out using the property and the facility, whether it's golf or practice. That's important too. And staying open on Mondays. That was new to us last year. Putting the golf course on Monday, we'll continue to do that. It was obviously very popular. And so just making the place open more later. Obviously, there's staffing issues that go along with that. But that's, some of the hurdles that are exciting to have. And we solve for this just by keeping things open later and on off times.
Yeah, that opening on Mondays is just a no-brainer. Sometimes difficult on the maintenance staff early in the morning because they get a lot of things done then. But it's no harm in opening up after they've completed their day if you don't have outings or such. Dave, how about your courses?
Same thing. I mean, I agree with everyone says. We're just have our ear to the ground and seeing what they're asking for. So if a particular club, we put GPS in golf carts and and have, credit card wireless things they could buy things on the golf course with, and beverage carts, and make it more fun, more convenient. This next generation of golfer isn't as, it's not Bushwood anymore, like Caddyshack, where everybody, has to be prim and proper, and they have the dance, with everybody real formal, and just make it really fun for people. If people are playing music a little loud, look the other way. I mean, we're not we're not to the point now where we could be dictating to people what they're doing. Again, some high-end private clubs, that's their prerogative, but the average medium-end private club and all the way to the simplest public golf courses, we don't want to give them a reason to defect and go somewhere else, or more importantly, don't defect the sport because they had a bad experience somewhere. So, we had one club, we put a very robust Wi-Fi in there because people are bringing their computers and their laptops and their pads in, trying to get on and do some work. So, spend the money, upgrade the Wi-Fi. So all that type of stuff, just make it super fun. I think that's the thing right now is that with people coming out, there's no reason for them not to have a ton of fun. They're paying money. They're paying good money for equipment. They're paying good money for a round of golf or a membership. And when they leave there, they should be smiling. They shouldn't be, discouraged, whether they're playing the wrong set of tees and can't make a birdie, or, can't listen to a little music, or can't, because the restaurant closed at 7 every other year doesn't mean the restaurant should close 7 going forward. It's a whole new era in golf with this boom we see, and how do we sustain it as long as possible?
Yeah, up at Forest Hill last summer, the patio was never busier. It was every night of the week. Tuesday nights it would be crowded, and it wasn't so much as it was anything other than people just wanted to be with each other and be away from the sitting in their house, and we just need to capitalize on that and keep that going in the future. Again, I would like to ask each of you if there was any, if you wouldn't mind sharing a goal that your organization has for the 2021 season. Chris, I'll start with you.
So, for us is continuing to diversify our offerings that are available to the guests. We think that can dramatically impact the guest experience because bringing in different types of people to our club, helping us to build relationships that will continue to allow us to thrive during this time. We think that'll help us to continue to sustain the boom of golf.
Yeah, Chris, I like what you had said before about working with groups of, from local groups and trying to get them to the golf courses. Julie, how about at Essex Fells?
We're coming into season here, and the warm weather. Just the biggest goal is just having everything we need in place to accommodate the volume of people, and making sure that their visits, in addition to the golf and dinner, it's golf and pool, the golf combined with something else, and making sure those something else's are also ready to go. And we have all the systems in place to make that something else as perfect as possible.
Yeah, trying to accommodate the numbers of people is something that we're trying to do here at the State Golf Association. Our 4-ball championship, we just concluded the qualifiers for it, and it was the most applicants we've had for a tournament in 20 years. It's just an amazing thing, and what we had to do is add another qualifying site and add to the qualifying sites. So it's those kind of things that we're doing here as an association, just to kind of accommodate the people who want to participate. Dave, how about you as far as a goal?
I think the goal is not to fall asleep at the wheel, quite frankly. We're in this grind and in this second wave, carrying over from last year, and not to get complacent, to continue to push forward, to continue to improve ourselves, as well as now that more importantly, that all of the restrictions are being loosened as it pertains to the dining and bar side of things, is opening up safe and making sure that we're capitalizing on after golf, or like I said earlier, just no golf day, having people come to the club or the golf course to as a second round, but it's not a round of golf. It's a round of entertainment and socialization, and having that lasting effect all year, where at the end of the year, when the membership's up or it gets cold out, they renew their membership, or they're coming back next year and really focusing on 2022 now, even though it's only early part of 2021, just really saying, what can we do now to set ourselves up for a successful next year as we start to see our heavier season come along. So we're excited. We're really excited. We're cautiously optimistic about things. And we're like I said earlier, we're just not taking this gift we got lightly. We're appreciating it and trying to, move it to another level of each of our golf courses.
Yeah. And Rand, I know that the management team over at the USGA has been working hard on a strategic plan over the last couple of years. And how about a goal for you for 2021?
To safely conduct 14 amazing national championships.
Yeah.
Last year we had one. We had the U.S. Open at Wingfoot. It was a great event, but for all the players, the national championships are an amazing source of inspiration to play, inspiration to improve, and inspiration to compete. And that's really important for the game. I think maybe more importantly is for the fans, right? A global audience for the Women's Open, at Olympic in just a couple of weeks, for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, in 150 countries, our championships are broadcast, and they show people all that's great about golf, all the excitement, all the drama, all the energy, the athleticism. Like, they're just amazing platforms for inspiration that tell the best stories about golf. And if there's one thing we want to do this year, it's get back to that full championship calendar and just have a great series of championships.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the initiative of making golf your thing, I know you'll do some promos around the championships about that, and that'll help all of us making golf a priority at our facilities, at our association, and for each individual golfer. I really want to thank you for your time. We had a great discussion. I think it's for sure the welcoming committee for golf has got a lot of work to do, but I think it's in good hands with operators like yourselves and people like you in the game, and we appreciate what you do for us, and I'm sure the golfers do as well. So with that, we'll call it a day, and again, I appreciate the time you've put here, and I hope this is something that our member clubs and golfers get something out of.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Kevin, thanks, gentlemen.